Dark Discoveries is a podcast that dives into the darker corners of history, mystery, and the downright bizarre. We discuss real events that may include graphic details, adult themes, and strong language. Not suitable for all audiences. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
We're here to inform, entertain, and maybe make you laugh nervous in public, but never to glorify the criminals or make light of their victims. Our research is thorough, but hey, we're not perfect.
We don't claim to be historians, so if we get something slightly off, blame Jimbo. All opinions are our own, and sometimes even those are questionable.
Happy Halloween, everybody. It's a privilege to be part of the yearly anniversary Halloween show here on Hillbilly Horror Stories.
The 8th anniversary.
It's at the 8th anniversary.
I'm pretty sure because I looked at it today, and the last one was the 7th. So
right.
8 comes after 7.
So we are Dark Discoveries podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Jimbo, and I'm joined with my two co-hosts.
I'm Jackie Johnson.
And Dustin.
So once again, it is our honor and privilege to share some stories about Halloween with you guys. So sit back, relax, and we're going to have a little bit of fun as we go along. So October 31st, Halloween. It's a night of costumes, candy, and the thrill of the unknown of what candy your child is going to get that you can raid from their bags later on that night. Right?
And it is always Kit Kats, Reese's
Cups, yeah.
Almond Joys, and Mr. Good Bars.
But beneath the orange glow of jack-o'-lanterns and the laughter of children, there's a darker story. Halloween has been a night steeped in superstition, fear, and mystery for thousands of years. Tonight, we're going to dive into that history, explore the myths, the killers, and even the supernatural legends that make this holiday both thrilling and terrifying. So let's start at the beginning. Long before candy and costumes, over 2,000 years ago, in the misty lands of Ireland and Scotland, the Celts, if Dustin would, marked a night that would become the foundation of Halloween. They called it Samhain. Am I saying that right, Dustin?
I'm on the fence.
Yeah. That's what I'm going
I was going to say it was pronounced, but you took all my notes.
Samhain. It was the end of the harvest, the beginning of winter, the dark half of the year. And on this night, they believed the veil between the living and the dead thinned, letting spirits walk among the living. Communities would gather and light enormous bonfires. These weren't just for warmth, they were sacred, meant to ward off evil spirits and protect the living. Often they offered crops or animals to the flames, sacrifices meant to ensure survival and fertility for the coming year. And the people themselves wore masks, sometimes animal skulls, sometimes elaborate furs, not for celebration, but to confuse wandering spirits. If the spirits couldn't recognize you, the thinking went, they would leave you unharmed. Imagine walking through a foggy village, firelight flickering off stone walls and masks, the air thick with smoke, knowing the spirits were out there, watching and waiting. Samhain wasn't just about protection, it was about divination and fortune-telling. Young women might look into mirrors at midnight to see the face of their future husband, or according to some legends, a skull, a death omen. Apples were used in rituals of prediction, tossed into water, bobbed for, or sliced and examined for shapes that revealed one's fate. Families would leave offerings of bread, milk, or porridge at the doorstep, honoring their ancestors and hoping to appease wandering spirits.
Sounds like Christmas at the trailer park.
Even stepping out of your home carried risk. Accidental disrespect could bring a curse or worse, the attention of a malevolent entity. When the Romans conquered Celtic lands, they didn't erase Samhain. They merged it with their own festivals. Feralia, a time to honor the dead, and Pomona, a goddess of fruits and trees, blended seamlessly with old traditions. Over time, as Christianity spread, the church attempted to control the celebration, creating All Hallows Eve, the night before All Saints' Day. Yet the old beliefs, the fear of spirits, the rituals of protection, they survived, carried on in secret by families, passed down orally through generations. Even centuries later, among Irish immigrants in America and rural communities in Appalachia, remnants of Samhain persisted. Children bobbed for apples, young women performed mirror rituals, and families still left food for wandering spirits. I can see Dustin going door to door eating. What's
Excuse
this?
me.
I think it's
Gonna eat
pronounced
that?
Samhain
Samhain?
is how it is.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm not
I-
brushed up on my old.
I had it playing last night to where I could try to remember it. I thought I wrote it down on one of these so I could pronounce it, and I obviously didn't.
Samhain, right? I guess.
If you look at the word, it's Saawin. Samhain.
Samhain. Okay.
Can you give me a play it?
Yeah, play it. Let's see this so we get the correct pronunciation.
So this is how great we are, you know? This is
Samhain.
Samhain. Okay. Sorry about that. So Samhain. The old fears never disappeared. They simply transformed. The night was still a time when the dead were near, when the supernatural felt tangible, and when the ordinary rules of life could be suspended. And the stories of Samhain aren't just history. They're full of myth and legend. And I dusted it again, didn't I?
You know, I'm glad I won't be near you on Halloween because I think you're gonna
I'll be taken
piss
out
off
by
the spirits is what's gonna happen.
Bring it on. There are tales of spirits stealing into homes, of fairies luring travelers into the woods, of shadows that follow you home. One story tells of a young girl who left a candle outside for her deceased grandmother, only to find the flame dancing as if someone unseen was moving it. Another legend speaks of the Kalarich, the witch-like goddess of winter, roaming the night to claim souls or test the living. Even trickster spirits, mischievous but not always deadly, are said to have led travelers astray, turning night into a maze of fear and uncertainty. This is why Halloween, even today, retains its eerie edge. When we carve pumpkins, wear costumes, and hand out candy, we're echoing ancient rituals designed to protect us from unknown. The masks, the lights, and symbols, they're centuries-old tools to survive the dark. Samhain, thank you, reminds us that for humans, the line between life and death have always been something to respect, fear, and prepare for. On this night, the unseen world is real, the dead are near, and the mysteries of life feel more tangible than ever. And that sets the stage perfectly for the modern Halloween mysteries, the murders, and the legends we'll explore next, where the veil between reality and horror is just as thin today as it was thousands of years ago.
Well, Halloween always has been a night for legends, stories passed down through generations that blur the line between myth and reality. Some are centuries old, others more recent, but they all capture fear and fascination that the night invokes. Speaking of legends, the legend of Stingy Jack. Dustin, I believe you have a little bit of knowledge on that, correct?
So now to really understand the jack-o'-lantern, we need to meet Stingy Jack, the man behind the legend. This is a story that's been told for centuries in Ireland, blending folklore, morality, and a little bit of dark humor. Jack was, by all accounts, a clever but deceitful man. He wasn't evil in a murderous sense, but he was cunning, greedy, and willing to outwit anyone, even the devil himself. To get what he wanted, one famous tale tells that Jack invited the devil to have a drink with him. True to his name, he tricked the devil into climbing a tree to pick a piece of fruit, and then carved a cross into the bark, trapping him there. Jack only agreed to free the devil if he promised to never claim his soul. But Jack didn't stop there. Another occasion, he convinced the devil to turn into a coin, which Jack then pocketed alongside a silver cross to prevent him from changing back. Once again, Jack extracted a promise from the devil he would spare Jack's soul from hell when he died. You'd think the devil would stop dealing with him at this point, right?
Well, I did hear the devil went down to Georgia.
He's been took 3 times that we've talked about now. Naturally, all clever tricks have consequences. When Jack eventually died, the story goes that he was too sinful for heaven. But the devil, true to his word, would not let him enter hell either. So Jack was left wandering the earth for eternity. The devil, in a final act of spite, gave Jack a burning ember, which Jack placed inside a hollowed-out turnip to light his way, and thus became the wandering soul known as Jack of the Lantern, or Jack-o'-lantern. The legend doesn't just explain a pumpkin tradition, it's layered with moral and supernatural undertones. Jack's cunning shows the cleverlessness humans can wield, but his eternal wandering is a warning. Even tricksters are bound by consequences. It also ties directly into Samhain and Halloween beliefs, where the veil between the worlds is thin, and spirits both malevolent and mischievous can roam the earth. Over time, the Irish carried the story to America. Pumpkins replaced turnips, giving us the glowing faces that we carve today. But in essence, remains Jack-o'-lantern is a protective charm inspired by Stingy Jack, designed to ward off wandering spirits and remind us that cleverness can save you, but only so far. There's always a price, and sometimes the shadows of your own tricks follow you eternally. So I'm just going to put a little side note here. Now that I know what the jack-o'-lantern does, my house may or may not have made coffins at one point. I will make sure that every year I have a pumpkin on my porch.
Well, I have a question for you. When you ever ring the doorbell or knocked on the door and said trick or treat, did you ever get tricked? Or was it always just give me the candy treat?
All treats, no tricks is what they'd always say.
We got a handful of Pepto-Bismol mints one time, and I was like, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I ate it.
So a funny thing with Halloween was I knew it was a family member, like kind of distant, but it was like an aunt to another cousin. Don't eat anything that's made, fresh.
Yes.
We lived in this neighborhood probably until I was 12 or 13. And it was the last year we lived in that neighborhood. I was like, man, these cookies look good, but I can't eat them. Mom's like, you've not been eating those cookies every year? I was like, no, you told me not to. That's your Aunt Joyce. It's okay. So out of all the years of my life, I only had one pack of cookies that she made, and they were fantastic. Then another guy across the neighborhood would give out cold pop. So you get like a cold Mountain Dew, somebody give you an apple and you'd throw that, and then you could when we finally knew we could eat it, we had Mountain Dew and cookies as we were walking, and it was fantastic.
And then Jackie's Pepto-Bismol to calm your
to
stomach.
calm it all down. All that candy you ate. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, my mom's like, you can do it here because I grew up in the same neighborhood. I know everybody.
We'll start with Jackie. Jackie, what is your best and worst Halloween costume you ever had?
Ooh, that's really tricky. Because we do family costumes,
Right.
and bless my family's heart, they get roped into some wild ones. I think that my personal favorite that we ever did would have to be, we all did Beetlejuice. I made my youngest daughter wanted to be Beetlejuice Bob, the one with the shrunken head, and I made it because they didn't have it. And it is
Wasn't that just last year?
It was last year, and it was the coolest thing. I mean, I spent probably a solid 2 weeks making just her costume, and it came out flawless. She wore it for an hour, and then it was too hot. So it was wonderful. The worst I ever was probably when I was a kid. I wanted to be the Little Mermaid, and it was so cold. We had to wear coats over it, and my mom decided to make me my costume, and it was awesome. The fin was great, but then the bodysuit that she sewed to it was made out of this fleecy material because it was Midwest winter. And then she like put a bejeweled belly button on it, and it got weirder. The closer it got to Halloween, she was trying to make it warmer, and I was like, "What is this? The Antarctic mermaids? What the heck?" But it was funny, and looking back at the pictures, I looked like a fuzzy pink mermaid. It was hilarious. Yeah.
All right, Dustin, we know you've got some stories.
I was a race car driver for a long time.
Is that your worst one?
No, I never really had a bad one. That was kind of always a staple because Dad raced, so you'd have a suit, you'd have a helmet, and you were good. So, it was pretty decent. Other than I'd say that was probably the worst one because the helmet got a little old when you were trying to run around and you got a little head and it's bouncing around in this helmet. My favorite was I went as Captain Smith from the Titanic.
You and the Titanic, man.
And it was the ghost of Captain Smith.
Okay, that's cool.
Captain Smith went down with the ship. So
Allegedly.
I'm pretty sure he went down because there was never no traces of him afterwards.
Don't we all?
But maybe he did survive, but there'd have been reports. But so I got this suit. A thrift store had some like military suits. That was the closest I could get. So I shredded it to where it looked like what a 12-year-old would think you look like under the ocean.
I'm sorry.
And I covered it in baby powder.
Did you have like shark bites on him?
No. I just like shredded it like the arms and the legs and then covered it in baby powder to make it look like a ghost.
That's cool.
It actually turned out pretty decent.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then I don't really have any other that stick out too much.
And what about you, Jimbo?
Well, I'm not going to bore the listeners with that because I covered it on my other segment that I turned in for this episode. So I'm
You're not getting
gonna
out of this.
Share it on ours. You'll have to listen to the whole segment where the Tragedy of Cinema put in theirs. So you will find out what my best and worst ones were there.
Oh, look at you. Okay, now I'm going to flip the script on you. What is your favorite Halloween movie?
I'll tell you what.
And your least favorite?
The Fog. James Carpenter's The
Oh,
Fog.
you said that fast.
That's the favorite?
That's my favorite horror movie in general.
What's your least favorite?
Least favorite? Nightmare on Elm Street.
That's one of my favorites. Freddy's my favorite slasher.
Jackie?
Okay. I absolutely love Trick or Treat with Sam.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It makes me feel like it's Halloween. I would have to say it's not really a Halloween one, but I watch it every year on Halloween. Little Shop of Horrors. And we've done it as a family costume. It's great.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I can't believe you didn't say Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Jackie.
That I do love that. That's just a normal Tuesday night movie for me. It was good.
Dustin?
I was trying to think of what it was, and I forgot. I don't have a favorite, but I'm just going to go with the easy Nightmare Before Christmas because that covers Christmas and Halloween. My least
It's a cop out. Okay.
It is a cop out. I had.
I'll
a good
allow
one.
it. It's good.
If I think of it, if I think of what I had in my head, I'll blurt it out.
How about Halloween?
It was okay. I was going to hijack a segment here in a moment, put Jimbo on the spot, but he did it first because that's what he does. My least favorite Halloween movie. You ready? I hate this, and I'll take it to the grave. Hocus Pocus. I freaking hate that movie.
All right. Well, enough about that. So we just ticked
It
off
can
half our
go
listeners.
to hell.
Wow.
Wow. Tell me how you really
So
feel.
why don't you just watch Ernest Scared Stupid instead?
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, yeah.
I gotta figure out what that movie was because I was gonna put you on the spot and I messed myself up.
Okay. Well, we've talked about the legend of Stingy Jack. So there are a few other fun little Halloween legends out there. There is Kaleki, which is the witch-like goddess of winter. She, according to legend, roams the land on Samhain, claiming souls and testing the living. Some say she can control the weather by bringing the first snow and the biting winds and the storms that encounter her on Halloween. To encounter her would mean illness, bad luck, or worse. Farmers leave her offering. Good grief. Farmers leave her offerings, there we go, to protect their livestock and crops from her wrath. Another enduring story is that of the Wild Hunt, a ghost of spectral riders, hounds, and spirits who sweep across the night sky. Those who see the hunt are said to be cursed or sometimes swept along, never to return. Villagers would hide indoors, extinguish fires, and remain silent to avoid drawing attention. Some versions say that the writers are led by a deity. Others say they are the souls of the damned. Either way, on Samhain, the hunt is near. Wandering spirits are central to Samhain lore. It is said that the souls that have died suddenly or violently could not find rest and would roam the land. Families would leave out bread, milk, porridge outside to appease these spirits, hoping that they would leave them and the living in peace. Children bobbing for apples were believed to glimpse into the future or encounter a playful spirit, sometimes helpful, sometimes mischievous. Then there are trickster fairies. Unlike malevolent spirits, these beings were mischievous and capricious. They might hide tools, rearrange furniture, or lead travelers into the woods where they become hopelessly lost. On Samhain, the veil thins, and these fairies were said to cross freely between their world and ours. Parents warned children never walk alone after dark. Some American towns developed Halloween legends as well. In New England, reports circulated of ghostly apparitions appearing at the edge of cornfields. In Appalachia, stories were told of headless horsemen riding silently through the fog, echoing the tales of Sleepy Hollow. Children claimed to hear whispers in the wind, voices that weren't there, footsteps following them as they trick-or-treated. Even animals are featured in legends. Black cats weren't just unlucky, they were believed to be witches' familiars. Owls were omens of death, their hoots warning of approaching danger. Bats are messengers from the underworld, carrying secrets between the living and the dead. And of course, the most chilling legend for modern audiences, the Halloween candy killer. While Ronald Clark O'Brien's crime is verified in history, it has since taken on an aura of folklore. Parents whisper to the story of children as a warning. Do not accept candy from strangers. Watch your treats. Be vigilant. Over time, the fear has become mythic, a cautionary tale that blends the real and imagined into Hollywood psyche. All these legends, Stingy Jack, the Wild Hunt, Wandering Spirits, Trickster Fairies, the Candy Man, they remind us why Halloween has been more than costumes and candy. It's a night where stories come alive, when superstition and history merge, and when fear itself becomes a tradition.
So I'm going to give you my runner-up favorite Halloween movie. And
Son of a...
you'll have to wait for my favorite, because I don't know how I forgot about this movie. It needs an honorable mention. Mm-hmm. Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. Fantastic movie if you've never watched it.
It's okay.
All right, so...
There's an eye in me soup.
There's an eye in me soup. My dress is called... It's got a lot of good one-liners. If you've never watched it, go watch it. Have a drink, a smoke, whatever you need to do to get yourself right, and watch it. It's a phenomenal movie. So now we're going to turn from the ancient legends to figure out who brought magic, illusion, and the impossible into the real world. Harry Houdini, a name alone conjures images of handcuffs, water tanks, chains, and daring escapes. But Houdini just wasn't a performer. He was a man obsessed with the truth, exposing fraud, and controlling the lines between the possible and impossible. I know you're like, what's the Halloween connection? Just sit tight, because some of you may not know. Born Eric Weiss in Budapest in 1874, Houdini grew up in America and took the stage name that would become legendary. From a young age, he was fascinated with magic and escape, performing tricks for neighbors and experimenting with handcuffs and locks. By the early 1900s, he was internationally famous, performing in theaters from New York to London. And yet, behind the dazzling show and the applause, Houdini was relentlessly skeptical of spiritualists and mediums. He saw them as exploiting the grieving, and the desperate, he dedicated years to debunking their claims, sometimes publicly humiliating those who pretended to communicate with the dead. I'd love to see him today with that crossing over show. Mm-hmm. That would have been fantastic. This crusade would follow him into his final days. In October of 1926, Houdini was performing in Montreal. A college student, J. Gordon Whitehead, asked Houdini if he could withstand a punch to the stomach. Houdini said yes. He often did abdominal demonstrations to show his physical prowess. But Whitehead struck him repeatedly. Days after Houdini was in severe pain, doctors diagnosed him with a ruptured appendix, but it was too late. He was rushed to the hospital in Detroit. On October 31st, 1926, on Halloween night, Harry Houdini died. He was only 52 years old. But the story doesn't end here. Houdini's death has been surrounded by mystery and conspiracies ever since. Some claims the punch incident caused his appendix to rupture. Others whispered of revenge. Spiritualists who had been publicly humiliated by Houdini supposedly cursed him, using occult rituals to hasten his death. And then there's the question of the autopsy. Some accounts suggest inconsistencies in the medical reports. Go figure. Fueling speculation that Houdini may have been poisoned or that foul play was involved. Even today, books and documentaries continue to debate the exact cause. But one fact is indisputable. He died on Halloween, a night already steeped in superstition, and the timing alone has fueled decades of speculation. Houdini's widow, Bess Houdini, believed in kind of a communication beyond death. For 10 years after his passing, every Halloween she held seances attempting to contact her husband. Kind of ironic, ain't it? You don't believe it. You're skeptical and you call people out. Then you got your wife trying to see if she can really get in touch with you. If Houdini's spirit tried to communicate, he would use the code, but every year, they had devised a secret code, a unique combination of letters and numbers that only they would know. If Houdini's spirit tried to communicate, they would use that code and she would know it was him. Some claim this silence confirms Houdini's spirit never crossed over willingly. Others argue it only adds to the mystery, making his death feel more like a part of the legend he had lived.
It's probably like,
see, I wasted
not her again.
I wasted my good reading on
On Stingy Jack.
on Stingy Jack. All right, Jimbo, let's take us to the next part.
All right. Of course, Halloween isn't just about legends and magics. It's also about a night when real-world horror has struck. One of the most infamous cases, which Jackie alluded to earlier, is that of Ronald Clark O'Brien, known as the Candyman. On October 31st, 1974, in Bryan, Texas, O'Brien poisoned his own son, Timothy, with a cyanide-laced pixie sticks. He even gave poison candy to other neighborhood children, hoping to disguise his crime as a tragic accident. Timothy died. Others survived. The police launched a full-scale investigation, collecting candy from houses, analyzing it for poison, and interviewing neighbors and friends. O'Brien was eventually caught, tried, and sentenced to death, which was carried out in 1984. O'Brien's crime terrified the nation. Parents became obsessed with inspecting candy. Media coverage exploded, and Halloween suddenly felt dangerous in a way it hadn't before. While his case is exceptional, it's not the only verified Halloween murder. So I'm going to divert from these notes, and a little side note that I have found was do you remember growing up when you went trick-or-treating and your mom or your dad would say, hey, we have to look at that candy. There better not be any razor blades in there.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the birth of the razor blade myth.
So this is the jerk face that gave our parents a reason to give us a candy tax so where they could go through our candy and take out the good stuff.
Right.
You know what they never took? was those stupid, the little wrapped orange and brown taffies. They never took that crap.
Because they're not good.
Never.
So the
I don't
first,
even know where they sell those. I've never seen them in a store, but they always show up every Halloween.
I'm going to bring you some Halloween. Okay.
No, they suck.
The first widely publicized cases of candy tampering began to appear in the 1960s. One of the earliest known incidents occurred in 1964 in Kansas, where a mother claimed her child had bitten into a candy bar containing a razor blade. Local newspapers reported the story, which quickly drew national attention. Within months, similar reports began to surface in other states, creating the perception of a new and pervasive threat. In examining these incidents, law enforcement investigations often found that these claims were unsubstantiated. Candy tampering, when it did occur, frequently involved household members or acquaintances rather than random strangers. So kids go ding dong on all those strangers' doors.
And you know what's funny is the day after Halloween or even Halloween night, people are going to post bogus claims of finding razor blades in their candy. And a public service announcement, nobody is going to willingly give away drugs to give drugs to your children. But if they mess up and there's, a 7-pointed flower on it, don't let them eat it.
What was it, the blue star out of the Cracker Jack box to the tattoo or whatever that's laced with LSD or something? You remember that too?
They're not going to give it away.
Anyway, nonetheless, media coverage tended to emphasize the danger of unknown perpetrators, framing the narrative as a widespread and escalating menace. Headlines warning of razor blades and Halloween candy appeared in local and national papers, reinforcing parental fears and establishing the myth in the collective conscious. Psychologists studying urban legends note that narratives involving children and hidden threats are particularly potent. The combination of innocence, vulnerability, and secrecy creates an emotional charged story that spreads rapidly. Even a single unverified report can snowball into a national panic, as was the case with Halloween candy tampering. The 1970s and 80s saw the apex of Halloween candy fear. Television, newspapers, and tabloid magazines regularly covered supposed cases of children finding dangerous objects in their treats. Morning shows and evening news segments often warned parents to inspect every piece of candy before allowing children to eat it. Despite the pervasive coverage, confirmed instances of deliberate tampering by strangers were exceedingly rare. Comprehensive reviews of law enforcement records reveal that between 1970 and 1990, so that 20-year span, only a handful of verified cases even existed. Most of these involved minor injuries or misunderstandings, such as children accidentally biting into sharp objects that had been embedded during home preparation, rather than malicious intent by unknown parties. So like Dustin and cookies, she was cutting them. She left the knife inside, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's, and how many of those were the parents that did that to scare them?
Right. The moral panic surrounding Halloween candy tampering significantly influenced public behavior. Parents began to carefully inspect all candy. Some communities banned homemade treats, and schools held safety seminars. The myth, though largely unsubstantiated, had a tangible effect on how Halloween was celebrated. I remember my grandma packing some homemade stuff up in like them little white bags with like the haunted house. You remember that?
Yeah, my mom used to do popcorn balls.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you're going to see an increase in that, which where I live, if you cross the highway on the same road, they shut down the road, and it's trick-or-treating on both sides, no cars driving, and there's thousands of kids. So have you seen the price of Halloween candy? It's not cheap.
Have you seen the price of everything these days? Though?
Yeah.
I would say
Gas is $3.50 right
in
now.
small towns, you may see an increase in people making their own because it's like $20 a bag, $30 a bag for candy. And where I'm at, people are spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to give out to all these kids. And there's this one that they built a pirate ship. Like they go all out. It's like, who can afford that? And yes, it was in Lafayette and Crawfordsville, it was like $3.09 and $3, but we're recording on a holiday weekend. So guess what happens? Mm-hmm. Everything goes up.
Right. So in 1957, Peter Fabiano, a young man in Los Angeles, was killed on Halloween night. The details were chilling. A violent attack by a stranger in disguise, the anonymity of the holiday making it easier to strike without witnesses. Fast forward to 2010 in Ohio, the Lisk family murder shocked a small town. B.J. Lisk Jr. killed his father, stepmother, and stepbrother on Halloween night using a hammer and a gun. Motives varied, but the timing, Halloween, added a grim layer of symbolism to these murders. Even outside the United States, Halloween murders have been documented. In parts of Europe, reports from the 20th century mentioned assaults on or mysterious deaths occurring during Samhain or Halloween celebrations. There are fewer large-scale cases than urban legends might suggest, but the pattern is eerie. The anonymity, the darkness, and the chaos of the night create opportunities for crime. Then there's the psychological element. Halloween allows people to disguise themselves to move unseen among crowds of children and families. Some criminals have exploited this. Stranger abductions, assaults, and attacks have all historically spiked around October 31st. Parents who grew up hearing stories of poison candy often didn't realize that, while many tales were exaggerated, the real danger of crime on Halloween wasn't just myth. And yet, even with these dangers, Halloween retains its allure. It's a night when the ordinary rules of society are suspended, when masks allow the living to perform, trick, and play, and when the shadows are deeper, longer, and more mysterious. The deaths on Halloween, whether by murder, accident, or other tragic circumstances, add to the night's eerie legacy, making it a holiday that is as frightening and in reality as it is a legend. So when you hand out candy or walk down dimly lit streets tonight, remember, Halloween's darkness isn't just symbolic. It's a night that has real history of horror, crime, and death, intertwined with centuries of superstition that made people wary of the unseen, cautious of strangers, and respectful of the night itself. Halloween is fun, yes, but it has also always been dangerous, unpredictable, and haunting.
Of course, Halloween isn't just about murders or candy. It's also a night that has been long associated with the disappearances and unsolved mysteries. Across history, stories about people vanishing on October 31st, never to be seen again. Some are tragic accidents, some criminal, some remain unexplained. Take, for example, the disappearances of children in small towns across the United States in the mid-20th century. Often these children were last seen trick-or-treating, wearing costumes that masked their identities in the dark. In some cases, they were found hours later, disoriented but unharmed. In others, they were never found at all. These disappearances were added to the sense that Halloween was a night when the ordinary world could be swallowed by the unknown. One of the most chilling cases is that of Peter Fabiano. In 1957, a teenager in Los Angeles who vanished on a Halloween night only to be discovered murdered days later. Details were scarce, witnesses were unreliable, and the killer was never apprehended. The local newspaper fueled fear with vivid descriptions of shadows and strangers in masks. The townspeople began to view Halloween as a night where even the safest streets could hide danger. And then there are more recent cases, like the vanishing of young girls and boys who walked to neighborhood parties or Halloween gatherings and never return. Police investigations often hit dead ends. Tips dry up, the evidence is minimal, and in some areas, rumors of abductions by unknown figures circulated for years. These stories fed the more modern-day cautionary tales, the whispers of "don't accept candy from strangers" or "stay in groups." Even outside the U.S., similar mysteries exist. In parts of Europe, reports from the 20th century describe young trick-or-treaters disappearing into the fog, leaving only costumes or disregarded items behind. In Appalachia, urban legends warn of children lured into the woods by strange figures in masks. A folkloric ending in Samhain fears transformed into modern cautionary tales. The unsolved disappearances share a pattern. They often occur on nights with disguise, anonymity. There we go.
That's where Nemo lives. Anonymity.
I'm anonymity. Darkness and
I'm a sea urchin.
that's the one. Making I touch the butt. Making identification difficult and complicating investigations. The timing, Halloween, adds a layer of psychological terror, amplifying fear in families and communities. Each case, whether resolved or left open, reinforces the idea that Halloween is not just a night of fun. It's a night where the unknown can manifest in ways that are deeply human and profoundly unsettling. And so, as we tell stories that are as we tell the stories, we are reminded that on Halloween, that has always been a night where the veil between safety and danger is thin, a night where the ordinary world can vanish into the shadows, and the night when mysteries of life and death and the unknown seem just a little closer, waiting for us in the dark.
Even beyond curses, witches, and spirits, Halloween has been a magnet for conspiracy theories rooted in folklore. Some in modern paranoia. Take, for example, the church conspiracy theories. Some historians suggest early Christian leaders attempted to Christianize Samhain, not just by creating All Hallows Eve, but by also subverting an ancient pagan rituals. The theory goes that by insulting Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, the church could gradually absorb and control the power of Halloween, turning fear and superstition into religious observance. Some argue that many of the old Samhain traditions, costumes, offerings, and fire rituals were actually co-opted to track communities and enforce moral conformity. Then there's the idea of realistic mass manipulation. Some urban legends claim the secret societies from the Freemasons to occult groups in Europe have historically used Halloween as a night to perform hidden ceremonies masked under this guise of festival celebration. These ceremonies, conspiracy theorists argue, were meant to channel energy from the thin veil between the worlds or to bind communities psychologically, keeping populations fearful and superstitious. Some legends even suggest certain families or estates were dedicated to observing these rituals annually long before Halloween became a children's holiday. Modern conspiracies tie Halloween to mind control or social engineering. Parents in the 1970s and 80s, during the height of satanic panic, were warned that urban Satanist cults were using Halloween to target children, not only for ritual sacrifice, but to also spread fear and obedience through communities. While most of these claims were exaggerated, they show how society has historically projected conspiracies onto Halloween, turning a night of play into a night of perceived danger and manipulation. After fascinating threads come from weather and astronomy conspiracies, Samhain has tied to the calendar of darkness, marking the halfway point between the autumn equinox and the winter solstice. Some legends suggest that ancient leaders timed rituals to align with celestial events, claiming that the power of spirits was strongest when certain stars were positioned overhead. Modern theorists tie this to Halloween as a night where cosmic alignment might amplify energy, whether magical, supernatural, or psychological. A night where the universe itself seems to conspire with the supernatural. Even ordinary items have been attracted conspiratorial significance. Candy apples and baked goods weren't just treats. They were considered vessels for magic and malevolence. Some stories claim that the wealthy families or secret guilds disturbed enchanted sweets to manipulate communities, reward loyalty, or punish disobedience. Whether true or not, it adds a layer to the dark intrigue that everybody practices, or everyday practices we take for granted. Finally, there's the local legends of hidden rooms or secret passageways used on Halloween nights in centuries past. Certain estates supposedly contained hidden chambers where mass rituals were performed, sometimes linked to occult study, other times political conspiracies. These tales persist in old villages, suggesting that Halloween was not merely a festival, but a night when power, secrecy, and superstition converged. A night when anyone might stumble across something they were never meant to see. The overarching theme in these conspiracies is clear. Halloween is a night for hidden forces, both human and supernatural, to act in a way we cannot always comprehend, whether through church control, secret societies, social engineering, celestial timing, or mystical practices. October 31st has always been a night when the hidden comes closer to being revealed.
And now let's slow down for a moment and look at some Halloween trivia. Strange, eerie, and fascinating facts that make this holiday more than just costumes and candy. Did you know that Halloween is the second highest grossing commercial holiday in the United States, right behind Christmas?
Well, yeah, you got candy and costumes and makeup and decorations.
Americans spend billions with a B on costumes, decorations, and treats every year. Yet despite the fun and frivolity, the origins are ancient, rooted in fears of spirits and the unknown. And for those of you that don't know, our co-host Jackie used to be like a district manager of Spirit
Halloween.
Now,
I
Jackie,
love it.
8 years.
They're like it's like Dollar Generals, how they reproduce rapidly throughout the year. About this, well, probably about a month ago, Spirit Halloween start their.
I've already been.
Oh,
Their,
honey, it was a year-long process.
Their
I actually would come in.
growth.
I worked 6 months of the year each year. And it was essentially going in, doing all the permitting, getting the locations figured out, going to the next place, hiring contractors, getting that stuff cleaned up.
See, it seems like that would be a year process by the time you had to scout out
My
real
boss
estate.
above me was year-round.
You know, you got to scout out real estate like months in advance where you're going to be.
Oh no, something closes down. There's going to be a Spirit Halloween right there.
It's true. It's true. Mhm.
But how much money do they make? Like, that has to be a.
My Lafayette location was $1 million store alone.
And that's, only 3 months out of the year, 4
If
months out
that,
of the year.
some locations are only open a month.
Right.
It just depends on the area. It depends on permitting, how fast we can get stuff done. And you had 10 days to set the store up and 3 days to tear the store down and inventory it. That was standard.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, Jackie, last year when you had us out here on the Mischief on Meridian, it's a huge Halloween celebration here in Lebanon, Indiana, on the town square where there is just people everywhere. There's
Hours
candy,
of
there's,
candy, kids,
Yeah, so if you have
music,
kids and you
it's
want to
so
come to
much
Lebanon,
fun.
Indiana, come on down.
Yeah.
But I made the mistake of waiting last year because I do believe I was Fred Flintstone last year.
Yes.
I waited till the day before I came down here to have a costume, and I went
Yeah.
into Spirit Halloween.
Hours of waiting.
Oh, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I will never wait that long again because I'm sure the closer you get to Halloween, number one, everything's picked over. Number two, you got to find your size. And then the line that you stand in is wrapped around all the animatronics and everything, and they snake them down the aisles. You get stuff to look at, but I mean, it was terrible.
I'll give you a behind the scenes look at some of the stuff that we did. We actually, the week of Halloween, they would pay associates more because we had to have so many that each store has a quota that they have to hit, that many people has to work that day to keep the lines down, to keep the merchandise as out and
Stocked as it can.
stocked. And
Shoot, I may
clean.
go volunteer my time on Halloween, see if I can't make some extra money.
It is something else. I mean, they have it down to a science. It is owned by Spencer's Gifts. And so they had a lot of employees that would work year round, and it would be half the time at Spencer, half the time at Spirit. And it was by far one of the best companies I ever worked for. I absolutely loved it. The one thing is I lived on the road. And so when this opportunity to follow my heart and become a distiller happened and be able to, have a home life and act, which I hadn't been able to do for years because of Spirit. It was a heartbreaking decision because it was the best boss I ever had and the best job I ever had. And what I made in that short amount of time. I didn't have to work the other 6 months, which was beautiful. But
Shout out Spirit Halloween for taking care of their people.
They do. And
But she would have never met me and you either.
It's the
Dustin,
truth.
so-
And they've been like top 10 companies to work for years. But I will say that if you're looking for a fun place, it's fantastic. If you're looking for anything, it's just a really cool company all around. But they treat the people right. I love it. And I learned so much about putting together fog machines. So.
All right, so pumpkins themselves have a history worth noting. The jack-o'-lanterns wasn't always a pumpkin, as we heard from Dustin's story earlier. It was originally a carved turnip in Ireland. When immigrants came to America, pumpkins were more abundant and easier to carve. The legend of Stingy Jack, the man condemned to wander the earth with a lantern, is why we illuminate these vegetables in the first place.
So I wonder if it wasn't for the Great Potato Famine, if it would have been a potato that was carved.
It would have been a lot easier. Have you seen the size of a radish?
Candy has its own quirks. The tradition of trick-or-treating only became widespread in the United States in the mid-20th century, though the roots come from the British and Irish custom of souling, where children would go door to door for food in exchange for prayers for the dead. And yes, corn syrup, chocolate, and brightly colored sugar treat traditions are all modern inventions, but they echo centuries-old rituals meant to appease spirits.
So Valentine's Day, I like to say, is a Hallmark holiday because it is a way to sell cards. Halloween anymore is just a dang candy Halloween. It's also Hershey can make money.
I will say this. While I was with Spirit, the actual sales for decorations, we outsold Christmas for Halloween.
Okay.
Now, Halloween or Christmas was always the number one because of gift giving and everything else, but decorations we outsold.
Okay. Let's bring real Halloween back to Halloween. Let's start that.
All right, I'll ask you guys this question before I go any further. Did you ever pull a prank on Halloween?
No, but my family does. They think it's hilarious to put this godforsaken clown doll that now my uncle owns because we didn't want it in my mom's house anymore. I used to have a canopy above my bed. And if I came home late or on Halloween, that damn clown was somewhere, and sometimes they had a knife tied to it. And I got in bed one night.
Just hope it didn't slip and fall from the ceiling.
I got in bed one night and I looked up in my canopy, and here's this clown with a knife above me. And I was like, it was the creepiest dang thing, but it's in my uncle's house.
You
in
know,
Illinois now,
we
so
thought
it's
it
not
was
so
a
bad.
fun idea to put this doll with a knife on the ceiling fan, not knowing it was going to be obscenely warm that day. And Uncle Jimbo didn't tie the knife to said doll. And when Jackie turned on the ceiling fan,
It threw the knife through Dustin's heart.
Sorry, Dustin.
we didn't know that we would be celebrating a funeral. the same day.
That's all right. I'll eat a Reese cup for you, buddy.
Yeah, because I can't.
So Halloween is the most common night for teen pranks in some towns, but historically, it is also considered the night when the dead were closest to living. That's why many legends like the Wild Hunt, witches, and fairies focus on October 31st. People were taught to be vigilant, not just for mischief, but for the unseen forces that might walk among them. And then there are the costumes. Did you know that early Halloween masks weren't just for fun? In ancient Celtic and medieval traditions, masks were worn to confuse or ward off spirits. If a ghost or fairy couldn't recognize you, the thinking it would leave you alone. This isn't just superstition. It's one of the few times in history where disguise was a literal form of protection. Even colors have significance. Orange and black dominate Halloween today. Orange representing the harvest and the warmth of the fire. Black representing death, darkness, and the spirit world. Every decoration, every flickering candle ties back to the centuries of ritual and belief. Here's a spooky fact for storytellers. In some rural communities, people still practice old Samhain traditions. They leave food for spirits, light candles to guide the dead, and sometimes perform small divination rituals like apple bobbing or mirror gazing, which we've talked about before. And if you look closely, you see that shadow coming. Don't be alarmed.
It's just the clown above my bed.
Dustin sneaking around to see what kind of goodies you left out.
Like I said, we're taking all them Kit Kats, Almond Joys, Baby Ruth, Snickers,
Reese cups.
Reese Cups, and Mr. Good.
And whatever that weird violent thing Jackie likes to eat, Violet Crunch. Or
Violet crumble.
yeah,
It's like space food gone
I
rogue.
love it. Okay.
all the Australian listeners will understand what she's talking about.
Yes.
And
Love
maybe
you
it'll
all.
whatchamacallit.
You have my heart.
We do have a couple, like we did get some downloads in Australia. I can't remember exactly the town.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it, G.I.
G.I.
Joe. All right.
And finally, Halloween is full of record-breaking oddities. The largest pumpkin ever recorded weighed over 2,700 pounds, a testament to the holiday's continued obsession with the harvest. Can you imagine carving that thing? Ugh.
Could you imagine the stink when that goes bad?
Shout
You
out to
know
our
it.
listener in Queensland, Australia.
Oh.
And the longest chain of trick-or-treaters was documented in Canada. Well, I don't think they've been here to Lebanon, Indiana to see that.
Yeah,
line.
that's pretty intense.
Showing how this night has transformed from ancient superstition to global celebration. Yet beneath the candy and fun, the original fear of spirits and the unknown still lingers. Every one of these facts reminds us that Halloween is more than just a party. It's a living connection to our past, to ancient fears, to legends, and to the shadows that have always walked beside us on the last night of October.
So as the night winds down and the last trick-or-treaters vanish into the shadows, we're reminded that Halloween is far more than costumes, candy, and laughter. It's a night steeped in centuries of superstition, mystery, and fear. A night where legends, conspiracies, and real-life horrors collide. From the spirits of Samhain to the disappearances, murders, and curses that we've explored tonight, October 31st remains a night when the ordinary world feels just a little thinner and the unseen feels just a little closer. So when you blow out your jack-o'-lanterns and step away from the shadows, remember that every tale, every whisper, every flicker of candlelight carries a story. Halloween is a celebration of life. But it is also a reminder that in the dark corners of history, legend, and the human imagination, it's never far away. On Halloween, the shadows are alive, and the mysteries of the night never truly rest. Sleep well, if you can.
And I want to thank everybody for listening to us. We are Dark Discoveries. You can find us on Facebook at Dark Discoveries Podcast, TikTok at Dark Discoveries, and Instagram at Dark Discoveries Podcast. Email us darkdiscoveriespod@gmail.com. Thank you for tuning in.
We also want to say happy Halloween and thanks Tim Mullins for keeping this tradition going for Jerry. We loved him, we miss him, and to help Tracy.
We'll leave the light on for you, Jerry.
Right.
This has been Dark Discoveries, where the deeper you dive,
The darker it gets.
I didn't forget. My favorite Halloween movie of all time is...
I guess you'll have to find out another time.